Hazardous materials section. Question number 1. Animal and human foodstuffs should not be loaded in the same vehicle with. There are 3 options: explosives, oxidizers, poisons. And if even you don't know about the classes of hazardous materials, there are 9 of them, but it should be obvious and easily to remember. Foodstuff should not be loaded in the same vehicle, should not be carried in the same vehicle with poisons. Again, there are 9 classes from 1 to 9. Most dangerous class 1, explosives, less dangerous class 9, and poisons are classified by class 6, but they should not be loaded together, poisons with the foodstuff. Okay, you choose, you hit enter, and program as usually advises you that you are correct. Foodstuffs and poisons should not be loaded together. Question number 2. A driver who transports route-controlled radioactive material must have had special training by the carrier within the last and how many years? It's easily to remember for you. 2 years. Within the last 2 years, the driver who transports route-controlled radioactive materials must have had special training. And by the way, should always carry the certificate with him or her. Okay, 2 years. Radioactive, 2 radioactive, 2 years training. Question number 3. Whenever your vehicle is placarded, do not drive near open fire unless you, and again, apply your common sense here, can safely pass.
Yeah, our keyword.
And also the keyword applies here, safely. So when you see that your vehicle is placarded, look for safely pass. So never drive near open fire unless you can safely pass. And again, all you need to remember here is safely. You see safely? That's the correct answer. Number 4. Which signals may be used to warn of a stopped vehicle which contains explosives? Again, apply your common sense. Explosives, most dangerous hazardous materials. So what you need to use, of course, should be reflective triangles. No fires, no flares, anything that could cause a fire.
Or sparks.
Yeah, so use reflective triangles. Triangles. Question number 5. A hazard class name or ID, identification number, may not be used, pay attention, may not be used to describe what? And again, it's common sense, it's obvious. Hazard class name may not be used to describe what? Non-hazardous materials. Not be used, non-hazardous materials. Alright? ID number, non-hazardous materials, because again, ID number is specially assigned to specific class of hazard, and if you are asked for what it may not be used, for non-hazardous materials. Question number 6. A vehicle placarded for hazardous materials must have placards on. Again, common sense. 4 sides.
4 sides.
4 sides.
You can see from any side.
Yeah, if you passed, and a long time ago, I believe, your general knowledge section, you should remember from that section. 4 sides. 4 sides of the vehicle should be placarded. Question number 7. Who is responsible for packaging, labeling, and preparing the hazardous material shipping papers for a common carrier? All you need to pay attention when you see that kind of question, who is responsible for packaging? And, well, again, common sense. Who actually packages, the shipment? Shipper.
Shipper.
Who is responsible for packaging? Shipper.
Shipper.
Question number 8. The intent of the hazardous materials regulation has 3 parts. One of them is to ensure safety of drivers and equipment. 2 is to communicate the risk. And what is 3? You are asked what is 3. And 3 is to contain. That's something you just need to memorize, to commit to your memory. There are 3 parts in this regulation. Ensure safety, communicate the risk, and contain the materials. Later on you might be asked, you might be given the same question, and the other part will be missing, and you will need to identify. So just to remember 3 parts: ensure safety, communicate risk, contain the materials. Contain. Question number 9. There are 3 lists that drivers, shippers, and carriers use to find out if a material is a regulated product. And one of these lists is, it's easy, guys. It's you ask it, there are 3 lists. Alright, so list of hazardous substances and reportable quantity. Lists, list. The same words are used in question and answer. 3 lists, look for list.
List.
List here, list here. Okay? Good. Question number 10. If an X or RQ is in the HM, which means hazardous material column of a shipper paper entry, what does it mean? If RQ is in this shipping paper column, it means that you need to that shipment is regulated by hazardous materials regulation. RQ in the HM column, that means hazardous materials. HM, hazardous materials. Either X or RQ. If this column is marked, that means you are carrying hazardous materials. Okay, let's see if we're correct. RQ, regulated. It's regulated by hazardous materials. Okay? Question number 11. Only one of these shipping papers description for a hazardous material is in the right order. Which one is it? And you are given 3 orders. The specific classes or names or words could be definitely different, but you need to apply simple rule. Name,
last name,
middle name, last name, exactly as the person is identified. Name, middle name, last name, exactly the hazardous material is identified. Name, class, and last name,
so
number.
What would be middle name?
No, it starts from first name. The first name, what? Hydrogen bromide, name. What is the middle name? Second name. Was the family where this particular hydrogen bromide came from? Non-flammable gas. Again, you don't need to remember that hydrogen bromide is a non-flammable gas. Look, name first, identify name first. That would be your choice. And then goes family, middle name, family name. Where it came from non-flammable gas. And the last one is the, specific last name, number in this particular case. Okay, let me repeat. You need to apply the simple rule. Name, family name, number. Name, hydrogen bromide. Family name, non-flammable gas. Number, this one. Number always goes last. Name always goes first. Okay, let's see if we're correct. Right order, name, class, number. Let's see, choice B is not correct because family name comes first. Wrong.
Class.
choice C is not correct, because number comes second when it should go last. Okay, so that's the right order and only order which is used for identification purpose of hazardous materials. Name, class, number. And again, it's easily to memorize because that's exactly how the, well, human being is identified. Okay, name, family name, and, well, last name, number in this case. Name, class, number. All right? Question number 12. A vehicle carrying explosives has crashed with another vehicle. You should not pull them apart. You should not pull them apart until what? Again, apply your common sense here. You should not pull them apart. Avoid doing anything until the safety is ensured, right? So in this particular case, what the safety, the most safe measure, explosives have been placed at least 200 feet away from the vehicle and occupied buildings. So if, well, the explosion will be inevitable, at least it's, well, it happens, well, in the open space. And the possible damage would be minimized. Okay, so if you read that your vehicle carrying explosives crashed with another vehicle, you should not pull them apart until you place explosives at least 200 feet away. So unload the vehicle. You are not asked if you should do it, but that's the right, well, order how you should. You might call to emergency, you might call to camp track, but, well, the first you need to do before pulling them apart, before pulling the crashed vehicle, is put explosives away, at least 200 feet away. Okay, let's see. Yes, away. If even you don't remember, it should be 200 feet. Well, but away should be, explosives should be removed. 13. You may not park a vehicle carrying hazardous materials within how many feet of an open fire? And, well, this the other thing you need to commit to your memory. 300 feet. 300 feet. Do not park your vehicle with hazardous materials within 300 feet of an open fire. 300 feet. Open fire, 300 feet. Question number 14. The transport index of a radioactive material, what it is. This is something you need to understand. The transport index, some kind of virtual index which specifies how dangerous radioactive material is, how radioactive it is, and the more is active, the more control is needed during transportation. Obvious, again. So what the transport index is, it's just another way to tell you the degree of control which is needed. By the way, the more active material is, the far from undeveloped film, and from yourself, obviously, you should put it in the vehicle. Okay? So the transport index of radioactive material is degree of control. Degree of control. How you do it, that's another question. But you need to, well, have an idea. It's degree of control. The higher the index is, the more, well, strict control should be applied. Question number 15. When hauling hazardous materials, you must stop your vehicle and check any dual tire at least once every how many miles, or well, how many hours, whichever is less. And again, it's common sense. It's the same rule that is used to any vehicle, if even it well, is not used to transport hazardous materials. Dual tires should be checked 2 hours or 100 miles.
Yeah, we know this from general knowledge.
Again, yeah, this is the that should sound familiar. It is from general knowledge. Dual tire, 2 hours or every 100 miles, whichever is less, whichever comes first. Okay, 200 or 100, 2 hours or 100 miles. Another question which came from general knowledge: to stop for the railroad tracks, you should stop within how many feet before the nearest track? And again, it's obvious, and it's 1550. It's 1550. And it's also should be familiar for drivers, for bus drivers. They know it for sure. You need to stop for the railroad track. You should stop within 1550 feet. 1550. Question number 17. You are transporting hazardous materials. When you are not behind the wheel, the shipping papers must be where it should be. Again, you need to memorize two things. If you are not behind the wheels or the wheel, or you are behind the wheel. In case you are not behind the wheel, it should be on the driver's pouch, on the driver's seat, or on the driver door pouch. In case something happened to you, at least the emergency team will be able to allocate the papers and find out what exactly is carried. So you understand the purpose of this. If you are not behind the wheel, don't take the papers with you. Leave it on the driver's seat or in the driver's door pouch. That's again the only purpose of this question, to make you memorize. Okay, not behind the wheel, driver's door pouch. Not behind, pouch. Question 18. If hazardous material is spilling from your vehicle, do not move your vehicle. Here is the golden rule applies. Safety, safety. If it's spilling, well, don't move it any more than safety requires.
Our keyword.
Yes, safety. When you see safety, well, this rule works in hazardous material section, well as in any other one. You see safety, okay, go with it. Question number 19. The hazard class of a 2-liter bottle of material is flammable liquid. If the description also says poison inhalation hazard, you should. What should you do? 3 choices. Again, guys, apply common sense. The names, the classes, the given choices could be different, but if you see that there are two more than one placards need to be used, go with both. Okay, you see 2 names in the question, go with both. Doesn't really matter what it is, poison or whatever. Okay, you see 2 placards are needed, go with both. You need to put both of them. Question number 20. You are going to be hauling hazardous materials over a route you do not know well. When should you check the route and the permits needed for the trip? Again, common sense. When? Before. Well, before you start. Okay, check the route, make a preparation. Everything needs to be done before. Okay, and again, that's the only one word you need to remember and able to locate. Question number 21. Carriers must give each driver who transports class 1.1 or 1.2 explosives what? Again, guys, you don't have to memorize what exactly class 1.1 or 1.2 is. You read explosives. Okay. Explosives. Every driver who transports explosives should be given FM CSR, which is Federal Motor Carrier Safety Regulation. So you might remember the abbreviation, you might remember Part 397, but what you have to carry with you if you transport explosives, you read explosives, look for CSR. So that's the special document you always have to carry with you. Explosives, FMCSR. Explosives, FMCSR. Look for abbreviation. You see explosives, look for abbreviation. Question number 22. You should stop before crossing a railroad grade if your vehicle is carrying, well, what amount of chlorine? And the question is easy. You read chlorine, you go with any amount. The chlorine is extremely poisonous, dangerous, well, material. You read chlorine, you see chlorine, well, go with any amount. Okay? Nothing else to say. Chlorine, any amount. Chlorine require extremely well, strict safety procedures. Question number 23. You are hauling hazardous materials and you find that one of your tires is leaking. What you must do, definitely, again, common sense, again, general knowledge, again, keyword.
Safe.
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 You see, 3 rules, 3 considerations help you to locate the right answer. Something is wrong, okay? What you need to do? Well, to follow the safety procedure. So stop at the nearest safe place, fix it. Right? Well, again, that's obvious. You wouldn't want to go on a trip with some leaking tire. Correct? Good. Question number 24. When shipper package hazardous materials, they must certify that this was done, everything was done according to regulations, and the only exception is when. So when you read such a question, must certify, and you ask it about exception, what's the only exception in this particular case? When the shipper does not have to certify. And it might sound weird, but well, really, the only exception is when the shipper is a private carrier carrying their own product. Okay, so if you are private carrier and you carry your own product, in this particular case, there is an exception. You must not have the certificate. Okay, so exception in case of your own product. Okay, very good. Question number 25. When fueling a placarded vehicle, someone must always be aware, and again, common sense, when you fuel your vehicle, you should be at the nozzle, right? Holding it, controlling the fuel flow. Okay, you might be confused with the word emergency, but in this particular case, well, it's distraction, because you need to go with the common sense. You fuel your vehicle, your placarded vehicle, especially placarded vehicle. Where should someone be? You as a driver or your helper, your partner, at the nozzle, controlling the fuel flow to prevent the emergency to happen. Okay? So that's the rule which is applied.
But if emergency happens, you go and shut off the pump. It's one step away.
That's why you need to be at the nozzle, to prevent emergency to happen.
Spill off.
Good. Very good. Question 26. Again, another question about the total transport index of all radioactive materials. Packages in a single vehicle must not exceed, what amount? 50. Again, you are not asked what, the unit. You just remember, we discussed it a few questions ago. Transport index of radioactive materials. It's a degree of control. It's how strict you should control, how far you should put your radioactive material from, let's say, undeveloped film or from yourself. And the maximal index which is allowed in a single vehicle should not exceed 50. Well, whatever it is. Okay? 50 in a single vehicle. Good. Question number 27. Who is responsible for checking that the shipper correctly named, labeled, and marked the hazardous material shipment? You remember, we also had that kind of question, and you have been asked who is responsible for packaging. That's again obvious, guys. Who is responsible for packaging? Shipper. Who is responsible for checking that package was correctly prepared? Of course, carrier. And the driver would be responsible for safely transporting, delivering the materials. All right? So, chain of event. So, you are now asking who is responsible for checking. So, don't even read further on. Who is responsible for checking? Carrier.
Carrier.
Shipper was responsible for preparing shipment, to package it. Carrier is responsible for checking. Well, manufacturer is not part of the event, is destructor either in this case. Okay? So, please pay attention. There are three such a question, uniform question. Who is responsible for checking? Who is responsible for packaging? Who is responsible for transporting? Okay? In this case, you are asking, who is responsible for checking? Carrier. Carrier. Question number 28. If there is an RQ before or after the item description on the shipping paper, it means what it means. What does it mean? RQ, it means reportable quantity. That's a specific particular abbreviation. Look for report. That's it is. If it's an RQ, you must report.
A spill.
A spill of this material. That's exactly the abbreviation which is used in shipping papers and marked the type of material you should report in case of any spill. RQ, you should report a spill of this material. RQ, report. Good. Question 29. You need to warn other motorists of a stopped vehicle which has a tank used for flammable liquid or gases. You may use common sense. Again, what you can use, what the only choice you can use, of course it would be triangles, right? It's flammable. It's flammable. Okay? Question number 30. Different situation. You have hazardous materials leaking from a container but not spilling from your vehicle. What you need to do? You need to drive to the closest area where you can get help and call emergency personnel if they are needed. In this particular case, the second thing you need to do is to call emergency personnel. Okay? So again, try to remember. Sometimes you might be asked about the just spilling, general. It spilled from your vehicle. But in this case, your vehicle is drivable. You said that it's leaking, the materials leaking from a container, but not from the vehicle. So the environment is not affected yet. And in this case, you should drive to closest area and then call emergency personnel. That's also a general rule which is applied always. Don't do anything yourself with the materials. Call the authorized personnel who are specially trained to handle that kind of emergency. Emergency. Leaking, call emergency. Question number 31. You have loaded a hazardous material into a cargo tank. what must you do before you move the vehicle? Alright guys, again, obviously, you load it. Okay, what you should do before? You should check. You should check what? You should make sure they are free of leaks, right? You don't have to call Camtrack. You're not interested about the observer sign. What you need to do before you actually move, before you drive, you should close all manholes, and be sure they are free of leaks. Okay. Question number 32. Another question about chlorine. When transporting chlorine in a cargo tanks, you must have, again guys, it's a trick. You don't have to know, well, unless you really do it, what you need to do. You see chlorine, and you see you need to have gas mask, emergency kit. Yeah, both. You need to have everything possible to protect yourself and to be used in case of emergency, because again, chlorine is extremely poisonous material. So when you see chlorine, go with both. And program as usually advises you what words you need to remember. Question number 33. If the word forbidden, forbidden appears in the hazard class column of an entry in the hazardous material table, what? That's again obvious. Never transport this material. Again, general common sense is applied, and keyword is applied here. Okay, never. It works here. If you see never, that's the correct answer. And also, you read forbidden. So, okay, when you see forbidden, you might not even be interesting to read it. To read question further. Forbidden, you must never transport the material. Forbidden, never. Question number 34. Your vehicle contains explosives, oxidizer, or flammables. No one may smoke within how many feet of the vehicle? Alright, by the rule, by the regulation, federal regulation, no one may smoke within 25, but it's strongly advisable that no one would smoke at all around. But by the rule, you should remember 25 feet of the vehicle containing those explosives or oxidizers or flammables. No one should smoke within 25 feet. Okay? Question number 35. When handling packages of explosives, you must, again, I repeat again, we repeat again, explosives, most dangerous hazardous material, class 1, requiring most strict safety rules to be applied when you carry it, when you handle it, when you do anything with the explosives, when you are around the explosive. What you need in this particular case when handling packages. Okay, if you have to, at least you should never use hooks. Never. You see, never. The keyword is applied here, and common sense is applied here. Of course, you should never use hooks or metal tools, because well, it could cause sparkling.
Sparks,
yeah, around, and well, ignite the
container.
Okay, explosives, never. Explosives, never use hooks. Very good. Question 36. Who is responsible for safely transporting a hazardous material shipment without delay and keeping the shipping papers in the right place? Alright, that's the same question we discussed before. Who is responsible for doing what? Transporting. Who is responsible? The driver. Again, let me repeat. When you ask it who is responsible for packaging, that would be shipper. For checking, that the carrier. And for safely transporting, the driver. Okay, so that's what you should look for. Transporting. When you read this question, who is responsible for transporting? Driver. 37. A railroad crossing is ahead of you, and you are hauling hazardous material. When you stop for the crossing, you can stop as far away as how many feet from the nearest rail? Definitely, answer is obvious. Again, you should remember this from general knowledge section, from passenger section if you taken it. So 50 feet as far away as 50 feet from the nearest rail. Okay? 38. The basic description of hazardous material includes the hazard class, the ID number, and the proper shipping name. Which one must appear first in the shipping paper? And definitely, again, the first, exactly as we use for identifying people, first name, okay? Not the number, not the class. It's name, first name. It's easy to remember. Which one appears first? How we use for people appear first? Name. Okay? Very good. 39. Class 1.1 explosives must not be transported in a combination vehicle if it includes what? And again, let me remind you, class 1.1 explosives, most dangerous hazardous material class, and you should be extremely careful if you have cargo tank, placarded cargo tank, which is most of the time used for transporting the the gas, the flammable materials. So explosives must not be transported. When you read, pay attention. Should it be transported or not be transported? So if you ask it must not be transported, class 1.1 explosives, the right answer would be a placarded cargo tank. Okay? Question 40. You find an overheated tire during en route inspection. If you are hauling hazardous materials, you must definitely what you must do. Hazardous materials, that's what you are transporting. Your first priority is safety. Your first concern is your own safety and anybody else. So you need to remove the tire and place it a safe distance from the vehicle. Another clue for you, the keyword safe. Whenever you see safe, that most probably the right answer. Okay, so overheated tire, remove it and place in a safe distance from your vehicle. Okay, safe. Question number 41. The power unit of a placarded vehicle must have a fire extinguisher with a UL rating of how many B, C, or more. Again, guys, that's something you just need to memorize. You are not asked what the UL rating is, what the BC, and you don't have to know this. But you need to remember 10. So 10, that's the type, power unit of a placarded vehicle must have a fire extinguisher of that rating. 10. Okay. Question number 42. If you need to placard a vehicle for hazardous materials, at least how many placards you will need? Okay, it should be easy now for you. 4, definitely. Your vehicle has 4 sides, so at least 1 placard for each side of your vehicle. Easy. Question 43. A dated certificate of a radioactive materials training must be carried by the driver. In other words, you have all the time, you have to have it on you. Okay? In case it must be maybe checked by the police officer at the weigh station. So you have to carry the certificate of radioactive materials trainings. You have to carry it with you. Should be carried by the driver. Question number 44. A properly prepared uniform hazardous waste manifest. You need to choose the right answer. Again, the answer is well, easy to locate. Waste manifest, look for waste. That's the only answer choice which has this word, the same word you see in the question and in the answer. Again, you see, it's easy. You don't have even well to know what the hazardous waste manifest is. You are not asking about it. You just well need to locate the right answer. So it must be signed and carried by anyone transporting hazardous waste. Waste manifest, hazardous waste in the answers. Okay, good. Question number 45. With most hazardous materials, you may park within 5 feet of the road briefly if your work requires it. The materials which are the exception and do not allow parking this close to the roadside are, again guys, it should be now easy for you. What is the most dangerous hazardous materials? Explosives. 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, doesn't matter. So the only exception which do not allow you park while this close to the roadsides, explosives, explosives, explosives. 46. You have a vehicle without racks to hold cylinders of compressed gas. You may load such cylinders only if they are, and again, use your common sense. Safety is well, a primary concern. So if you don't have racks, how, in what way you might load such cylinders? If they loaded upright or braced, laying down flat. So upright. You don't have racks? Try to load them upright. Try to load cylinders upright. Question number 47. Who is responsible for finding out what permits or special routes you will need to haul a hazardous materials? You are responsible, you as a driver. That's your job to find out what permits you need. And that's your job to ask your employer to, well, obtain this permit. You need to find out. You are responsible. Again, let me remind you, you are responsible as a driver for safely transporting the materials and, by the way, to find out what permits or special routes you will need to hold them. Good. Question number 48. If you are in an accident involving hazardous materials, you should, again, answer should be obvious for you. You are in an accident, hazardous materials involved, so you need to, the safety is your primary concern. You need to keep all people away. Okay, all people away of, well, the accident area. Okay, it doesn't matter, upwind, downwind, you should keep all people away. Question number 49. The intent of the hazardous materials regulation has 3 parts. And they are listed here. First, to ensure safe drivers and equipment. Second, to contain the materials. And what is the third? And again, you should now remember, well, easily the right answer. Communicate the risk. In one of the previous questions, you were given 2 other choices. So you all the time to, well, pick up the right answer in this question, you need to remember there are 3 parts. Ensure safe drivers, contain the materials, and communicate the risk. Question number 50. You are behind the wheel of a truck carrying a hazardous material shipment. The shipping papers must be on the pouch on the driver's door or where else. Definitely it should be in clear view within your reach. Again, let me remind you, there are two types of such a question. You might be asked if you are not behind the wheel or you are behind the wheel. So pay attention to this particular consideration. Now you are behind the wheel of a truck, and in this case it should be in the pouch or within the in clear view within your reach. So you must can easily reach them in case you need to, again, to show those papers, documents to traffic officer, to whoever else might ask you. Okay, good. Within. And the final conclusion, which might help you to answer question, the word within is a key word, and whenever you see within, if you don't even know the right answer but are able to read and locate this word, that would be indication of the correct choice. Question number 51. To find out if a shipment includes a hazardous materials, what should you do? You should look to the shipping papers. You should look at the shipping papers, because that's the only right way to find out if there are hazardous materials in your shipment. Okay, so to find out, you need to look at the shipping papers. Okay, and another clue, helpful clue for you: shipment, shipping. Shipment, the word shipment in the question, shipping paper in answer. Question number 52. A vehicle contains 500 pounds each of explosives class 1.1 and 1.2. You must use what type of placards you must use, and definitely that's the only one choice: explosives 1.1, as the explosives class 1.1 is the most dangerous class of the hazardous materials. That's the mass destruction explosive. So whenever you have those materials on your vehicle, on your shipment, you must use these placards: explosives 1.1. Okay, and again, it's easily, you ask it here about explosives 1.1, correct choice is the same. Question number 53. Which of the following must drivers have in the possession while transporting class 1.1 or 1.2 explosives? Again, use common sense. You are transporting the most dangerous class of hazardous materials. What you must have in your possession: the route, the written route plan. You need to know in advance where to go, okay, and how you will go to the destination. The written route plan. That's what you need to have. Question number 54. An X in the HM, which means hazardous material column of a shipping paper entry, means, what does it mean? Of course it means that it is hazardous material. Alright, entry, this entry is for hazardous material. When this column is marked with X, it means you do have hazardous material in your shipment. Okay, very good. HM, hazardous material. Question number 55. If you have a hazardous material fire on the road, what should you do? Please, for the God's sake and for public sake, do not attempt to control the fire. That's what you need. You should keep the people away. You should inform the appropriate personnel. You should call 911. You should do whatever is needed, but not attempt to control the fire. Okay, because you might get the situation worse. And another helpful clue for you: fire here and fire here. So the same words are used to help you to locate the right answer. Question number 56. Again, when transporting division 1.1, 1.2, or 1.3 explosives, what you must have, we already discussed it 2 questions ago, you must have a written route plan and follow the plan. Okay? Question 57. When loading or unloading any explosives, what you need to do? You should never use hooks or other metal tools. Never. Alright? Again, keyword never is indication of the right answer. Plus common sense. You are handling explosives. Be very careful with the any metal tools which can cause sparkling. Never use hooks. Never. Question 58. A vehicle placarded for hazardous materials must have placards on 4 sides. We already agreed on that issue. Alright, 4 sides. 59. Placards are 10 3/4 inches square on point in what shape? That's something you just need to remember. Diamond shape. That's what placards are. Okay, diamond shaped displays on 4 sides of your vehicle. Question number 60. A flammable liquid can be transferred from one tanker to another on a public roadway if, that's something you need to simply know or commit to your memory and follow in case it happens. Usually flammable liquid definitely should not be transferred from one tanker to another on a public roadway, but in case of emergency, it could be done. So the only time when the flammable liquid can be transferred from one tanker to another on a public roadway, if it is an emergency. And the emergency is a good word, is a key word which might help you to locate the right answer. Question number 61. You are carrying placarded Class 7 radiation material. Must you stop before a railroad crossing? Common sense, guys. Of course you should. Of course you have to. Any, by the way, hazardous materials is, a case when you have to stop. And by the way, you have to stop 15 to 50 feet to the nearest rail. Question number 62. A safe haven. What is a safe haven is? And this is approved place. Approved place. This is a good word. Approved place for parking unattended vehicle loaded with explosives. It's not only for explosive, but in this particular case you ask it about safe, some kind of safe haven. That's approved place for parking of unattended vehicles. Alright? Designated place, I would say. Question number 63. Which of these placards must be displayed whenever any amount of the material is in transportation? A kind of difficult question. Oxygen, corrosives, flammable, all of them are extremely dangerous, contagious, materials. And this is something you just need to also memorize. Oxygen. Oxygen. Whenever any amount of oxygen is transported, you need to put the placards. Even 1 pound of oxygen, you need to put the appropriate placard. Corrosive and flammable materials, if you transport more than 1,000 pounds, that's when you need to display placards. But oxygen, any amount. Okay? Any amount of oxygen. Question number 64. Another question about explosives, and the same question we already encountered, and you should know the answer immediately. When transporting division 1.1, 1.2, 1.3 explosives, you must have a written route plan and follow that plan. Question number 65. If you must leave a placarded vehicle on the public roadway, you must leave a placarded vehicle, then what procedure should be followed? It must be watched by a qualified person who completed course of requirement. But again, if you must leave due to some circumstances, must leave a placarded vehicle, then someone needs to watch. Some qualified person, trained person needs to watch that vehicle, alright? So again, you must leave a placarded vehicle, it must be watched. Should never be left unattended. Question number 66. When carrying explosives and have found braces damages, what you need to do? And again, that kind of question requires you to apply common sense here. What you need to do? Do not allow to smoke or make fire near the vehicle. Well, actually, that's a good rule to follow, even if the braces are not damaged. But in this particular case, you ask it, you found braces damages. What you need to do? Definitely, do not allow to smoke or make fire near the vehicle. After you've done all questions, you'll be given choices, either to repeat questions with the wrong answer, or get back to main menu and work with the whole pool of questions again. Either way, if you repeat it several times and will be able to get this result, 0 mistake, you definitely would be able to pass your hazardous materials endorsement with the first pass. Thank you so much, and good luck.